Coming to you live from a buy-low parking lot in the men's restroom, this is Thicc Inc.
We're live here with your host, Tristan Kilgannon, and ESPN featured athlete, Isaiah Ashley. Welcome back. We're going to be covering the Patriots' fall from grace first today and a few other riveting topics. Like the video, subscribe, comment down below as always. And for me to start off, New England has now lost 2 of their 4 games against above 500 teams. They almost lost to the Bills, and they probably should have lost to the Cowboys. It's not raining because Dak Prescott couldn't hold on to that ball for his life. They also just lost to Bill O'Brien, who used to be part of Bill Belichick's staff, and since becoming head coach, has lost to Bill Belichick every single time. Tom Brady only completed 51% of his passes against the Texans, and you are not going to win a game in which Tom Brady only completes 51% of his passes. They have a major issue at offensive line. They hit Tom Brady 12 times and sacked him another 3 times. It's not a recipe for success when the Patriots can't pass the ball, and they obviously can't run the ball. So when they're playing a team that actually has an offense, they've played 2 teams that are elite in the Texans and Ravens on offense, and they lose. So it's trouble over there in New England right now.
Well, it looks like it's that time of year to spark up the tradition of saying the Patriots are done and how old Brady looks. Now he's struggling with his relationship with Belichick and something about their defense and mobile quarterbacks and yada, yada, yada. I'll let you on a little secret, folks. People have been doing this since 2014. Every time it happens, the Patriots end up in either the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. As much as it may pain the haters and losers to say it, they're still here. And despite that horrible completion percentage, and not having any real receiving threats besides a running back and a Caucasian receiver, and no O-line, Brady still threw for more than 100, or roughly 100 more passing yards than Deshaun Watson, proving why he
also threw an interception.
Oh, no, an interception. Golly gee, that never happens to him. But regardless, Brady's not washed. They'll be fine for the playoffs. Last year, they were 11-5 and lost the freaking Lions and Jaguars and still won the Super Bowl.
I mean, to be clear, I don't think they're done. I think they're in a lot of trouble, though, because their offensive line looking the way it has, they've suffered a bunch of injuries, and not being able to pass or run the ball. At least last year, they were able to run the ball consistently. Their best running back right now is James White, and he's more of a receiving threat than he is a runner. So if they don't make to get a receiver, maybe Antonio Brown sneaks onto the squad.
That will not be happening.
Or they fix their offensive line somehow. I don't see them making that many changes towards. I think if they're able to, if the Ravens fuck up, which, I mean, we'll get to that in a little bit. I think, and they get the 1 seed, they might be able to, but I don't know. They still have to play the Chiefs and Bills again down the stretch.
Oh, no, the Chiefs with no defense. But the Patriots will be fine. They'll get healthy. Tom Brady will do his thing. They're going to get a first-round bye in all likelihood. And if not, so be it. They play 1 more game and massacre the 5 seed.
But also, talking about the Patriots could lose. They could be a wild card team.
So they massacre the 4 seed?
I mean, well, I don't even know who
it would probably be the Texans, if we're being honest, because AFC South's a mess. But that's speculation at this point. Transitioning to something which is not speculation, the Baltimore football Ravens had a convincing victory despite the low score of 20-17 against the San Francisco 49ers. And would you look at that, ladies and gentlemen. The San Francisco 49ers, as predicted, are fading down the stretch the more they have to play real teams. First, they lose to the Seahawks. Now, they lose to the Ravens. And despite the 49ers' lack of an offense, they played an incredibly close game. Their defense still phenomenal. Still probably the best in football. And it's going to net them an easy win the first round when they have to go to Jerry World and face the clapping menace in Jason Garrett in the first round of the playoffs. And now I'm going to talk.
I completely disagree with you on the 49ers. I think this really showed that they are a real team. And they can possibly get through the NFC, but the NFC is fucking nuts with the types of teams they have in there. They're probably going to be a wild card team if the Seahawks keep winning. But so unfortunately, their path isn't as clear as the Ravens or Patriots' path will be. They have and then the Vikings and Saints on top of that. But I think this showed they can beat the top level teams with the way their defense played And they were the perfect matchup for the Ravens offense to not do well, and the Ravens still did well. So I think the Ravens are going to be – I'm struggling to think of a team that's going to be able to stop them.
Yet again, with the Ravens, we have Lamar Jackson being the best running back on the field with 104 rushing yards and 101 passing yards. No slight to him as a thrower. It's hard to throw in a dirty pocket with that.
101 rushing yards.
I'm pretty sure he had more passing yards. We can consult the statistics later, but it's irrelevant. He had a very similar total for both of those things, which is a very clear indication that he is still a phenomenal runner, and like some people predicted wrongly, did not slow down at all in his current rushing pace. But they're not going to lose to anyone, short of the Patriots busting out some crazy stuff and holding him to less than, say, 50 yards on the ground. That is the one way the Ravens lose. Because right now there is no defense in the NFL that we have seen so far which can handle Lamar Jackson.
And I don't think the 49ers is the best option to stop them because they have the best front seven with DeForest Buckner, Nick Bosa, and, everyone. Solomon Thomas also, third overall pick a couple years ago. They have studs along that line. So they were the best opportunity to stop the Ravens. And the Patriots defense isn't built like that so much. Of course, they have Bill Belichick, so that's an X factor. There's a team, unless there's an injury, I don't see a team that's going to be able to stop the Ravens off. Now, they might be able to put up more points than the Ravens. So,
well, that's generally important if you want to win a football game, putting up more points.
I mean, like, out offense then. Like, that Rams-Chiefs game where it was like 90-90.
Oh, yeah, that one. The should-have-been Mexico City game.
I don't remember.
That was a long time ago, my friend. But I still think that the 49ers are frauds. You don't. And I want you to lead us into a scintillating discussion about some other NFC teams here.
So the Vikings and Seahawks, the score was 37-30 for the Seahawks. And I think this game actually showed us that the Vikings are the real deal, or they're at least building towards being the real deal. Kirk did not wilt at the end of the game, and he almost from Russell Wilson out at a night game, something he very rarely does. Cook did not have a good game. Diggs struggled. They didn't have Thielen healthy, and they still were almost able to come back. If I'm Isaiah, who is a Vikings fan, I am greatly encouraged by their performance, especially Kirk's performance, not wilting under pressure. And they even managed to make Russell Wilson give them an interception. Russell Wilson has been phenomenal protecting the ball, and they did some voodoo magic to have them just swat a pick six their way.
Well, you're wrong, and here's why. The Minnesota Vikings are not a great football team. They're barely a good football team. I know that's surprising because they're going to win 10 to 11 games. They're going to sneak in the playoffs as a wild card team. But this game pretty much guaranteed they're not winning the division. But it's proven again they're not a great team yet again on Monday Night Football. O-line, not Xavier Rhodes has gone from an all-pro cornerback 2 years ago to someone with no lateral and vertical mobility and got benched because he got burnt deep one too many times.
The roads are indeed open.
Stephon Diggs has developed an extremely, extremely rare case of butterfingeritis present in the biggest of moments, occurring shortly after he contracted after the Saints game a few years ago. And you're not going to win football games with Kirk Cousins being your main offensive firepower. It's just not a good state of affairs. He's getting $84 million to be an average quarterback.
They almost won the game with like half their team not performing and or injured.
Okay.
On
Kirk
offense.
Cousins didn't exactly have a beautiful game either. They're a little pixie stick.
Yeah, but they almost won. This is a big deal for Kirk Cousins. Usually gets blown out in these games.
He still lost, which means he unfortunately is a loser, as the kids say. I don't think the Minnesota Vikings are good in any way, shape, or form compared to the top dogs in the NFC. There's no competition to be had.
Well, we'll agree to disagree on the Vikings. And I have a quick word on Seahawks receiver. DK Metcalf has been proving the doubters wrong this year, and he's been proving bodybuilders right. Turns out you can be pretty good when you're one of the biggest players to play the position, and he just needs to work on holding onto the ball. He has 3 fumbles lost this year, which feels like a lot for a receiver. And he's players that were drafted before him, Andy Isabella and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, they have 101 yards and 180 yards, respectively, receiving. And they're picked just a few picks before him. So good to see DK Metcalf having 710 yards on the season. Respect.
Meanwhile, there's that other rookie in Baltimore who's a tad better than a receiver. We won't talk about that.
I think Marquise Brown might actually have less receiving.
He could have less yards.
I could be
He's
wrong.
Still better than Metcalf. No slight to him. Hollywood Brown's just a beast. Like Antonio, but not like Antonio. But continuing with the football discussion, you know what happened? A beautiful thing has happened. The Carolina Panthers have lost to the Washington Redskins 29-21. I remember when some Panthers fans were guaranteeing a playoff berth this year, saying that the offense would be just fine under Kyle Allen and Christian McCaffrey, who they claim deserved an MVP. And all I can do now is throw my head back and laugh.
Do you have some names to name?
You lost to the Deadskins, the team that was in contention for the #1 overall pick. Oh, man. This is a good chuckle right here. Do you know what makes this what this loss resulted in? The best coach the Carolina Panthers have ever had got fired. Ron Rivera is gone. He has packed his bags. He is out the door. The coach that a few years ago led them to the Super Bowl got fired because his star QB was hurt, and the team stunk it up. Oh,
they stunk it up, but they did lose to Doo-Doo Dwayne and the Redskins. Dwayne had 13 completions on the year. Their defense is supposed to be the strength of their team, and they gave up over 200 rushing yards to two crusty ACLs in Adrian Peterson and Darius Geis. They both don't have ACLs, and they lost. They couldn't stop them running.
You realize that Adrian Peterson still has an ACL and used it to run for 2,000 yards. But I won't get into your slander. What I will get into, and I'm going to talk about this real quick before we resume Ron Rivera talk, I will never tolerate a comparison again between the GOAT, Adrian Peterson, and that Caucasian in Charlotte. This man proved yet again that he is 7 times the running back that Christian is, behind a worse line going against a tougher front seven, and still completely outrushing him with the game-winning touchdown in his hands. McCaffrey is over it and will never be capable of being an all-time great running back. He is a novelty who catches balls. Adrian Peterson is still the real deal and still a better runner than Christian McCaffrey. That
sounds a bit like Riley Reid.
The Panthers fans need to swallow.
You know, the Panthers fans are a bit delusional, but this is a power move by the Panthers front office. They are looking at the Cowboys, who are fucking twiddling their thumbs, not firing Garrett, and they fire a coach who's actually had success in the league, 2-time coach of the year, been to a Super Bowl, and they just fire him because they want to get new blood in there. A respectable thing. And they got him out of there. And the Cowboys the coach has done nothing. He's been mediocre forever, and they're not firing him.
How did this become you complaining about the superior NFC East team?
I'm just saying, I think there's a little bit of the Panthers being like, we need to fire him before the Cowboys fire Garrett, and they look a lot better.
What, are they going to hire Garrett when he's a free agent coach in the offseason?
No.
Oh, that'd be funny.
But they just look a lot better than the Cowboys because the Cowboys are fucking over there thumbing their nuts.
I would strongly disagree with you, but they very much do not look better than the Dallas Cowboys. Surely because the Cowboys are a playoff team at this particular moment in time.
The Cowboys are tied with the great Mitch Trubisky right now, by the way.
Well, yes, but Mitchell Trubisky does not play in the NFC East, so it is what it is. Speaking of NFC East team, how would you lead us into a scintillating discussion about the return of an old giant stalwart?
The GOAT, the Patriots slayer, the man himself, Eli Manning is stepping back on the field this Monday. I think it's a Monday game. He's never going to get the starting job yet permanently, but maybe he'll fuck around and save me from my Giants' weekly depression. Every week I sit there watching the Giants just fucking blow dick. Maybe Eli can whip something out. That sounded weird. Maybe he could go back to his Super Bowl winning ways, win a couple games. They are playing the Eagles, who always seem to sack Eli 80 times. The Giants never block anyone on the Eagles' front line. So that'll be interesting to see. I didn't expect to see Eli one more time, but I guess I'm going to.
You will notice, by the way, we did not spend any time talking about the Giants' actual game this week. That is because, like most people, is very painful for us to talk about boring football. But Daniel Jones somehow ended up in a walking boot, which means Old Man Manning is going to have to come down out of retirement and take the Giants out of the Chase Young race. He is going to elevate that team to 2 to 3 completely meaningless wins. A truly brilliant act of revenge to take the team in the wrong direction by winning football games.
He's going to fuck around, look better than Tom Brady passing the football, and get signed by Belichick next year.
That will not be happening. But he's going to get the Giants 4 to 5 wins. Still terrible pick, great pick, terrible team. But out of the conversation for some of the real studs. Maybe he can replace that fellow from Duke with the Tua guy. Give me a year to develop, or so give me a year to heal up. But the perfect
I don't want
Tua.
I really don't want Tua.
At my host B-side here's expense, and for him to still pay me the money he owes me from a very unfortunate bet he made at the start of the year. Something which
if you're right about Eli, I might not have to pay you.
Pardon?
If you're right about Eli fucking around and winning 6
I said 4 to 5 wins.
You.
I'm very specific. He's got 3 wins left in the tank max, and his arm's going to turn to dust, and so is his back after being sacked 8 times.
Well, they only have 3 games left, so.
Ooh, you hate seeing that.
I already lost.
Well, you can Venmo me anytime.
I'll be sending you that wire transfer.
It's coming via Telegraph.
Yeah.
But
my bank from Sweden.
Your totally legitimate offshore checking account. Transitioning from one topic I love to another, Melo has been named the Western Conference Player of the Week. This is a great state of affairs for the NBA. And for me, a Melo fan these days, and the Portland Trail Blazers, who are on the up and up. Now we're going to throw a photo up on the screen. This is going to be the Melo apology form. And I'm going to read it out to you, Tristan, and I want you to tell me why. First, reasons why you owe Carmelo Anthony an apology. The reason for your slanderous behavior. You've got a few options here. Did the media convince you it was done, Tristan? Did you only look at the advanced analytics? Were you jealous of Melo's success and his headband? Did you not watch any actual games? I know you don't actually watch Portland Trail Blazers basketball. Don't try and lie to me. Do you not know basketball in general? Real possibility. Or was Mercury in retrograde? That's the easiest cop-out of an excuse. And just remember that you will hereby never disrespect Carmelo Anthony, the first ballot Hall of Famer.
Fuck Melo.
Your apology needs to be as loud as your disrespect was.
Fuck Melo. He'll not be a game changer for the Trailblazers. The Trailblazers are not winning any NBA championships because he's on the roster. No one cares. Whoopee, he won Player of the Week. Still won't have a ring. Something that Jeremy Lin does have. He has a ring. And guess what? You kicked him out of New York because you didn't want him there. And he was balling the fuck out, blocking Kobe, dunking on Kobe. He was doing everything. And you wanted him out of New York. And now he's on the Trailblazers late in his career, still with no ring. And he's never, ever going to get a ring.
You sound incredibly bitter, which is understandable. I'd be mad, too, if I was a Knicks fan. But I believe you're confusing Carmelo Anthony with the New York Knicks GM. There's a big difference between the two. But the Portland Trailblazers are slowly starting to climb out of the hole that Damian Lillard and crew put them at the start of the year. They are winning games. They're, I believe, 4-2 since the acquisition of Carmelo Anthony. They're on the up and up in the tough Western Conference. By the end of the year, they will sneak into the playoffs as a 7th or 8th seed from what looked like a lost seed. I'm going to let you know a little secret. It is amazing to me that after 16 years, Carmelo Anthony remains the best player from his draft class. That is something truly shocking to me.
Okay.
That's
the most bullshit thing I've ever heard.
I don't see LeBron
but LeBron's also
like this.
LeBron's averaging like 13 assists a game. They'll slip into the playoffs just to let LeBron and AD slide their schlongs down Carmelo and Lillard's throats. They're not going.
It's okay to be upset that Carmelo Anthony left New York and is having success.
How are you going to feel when the Trailblazers get swept in the first round, or the Trailblazers don't even make the playoffs?
Oh, well, I don't know how I feel about them not making the playoffs because they're making the playoffs. But, it is what it is. Damian Lillard is clearly the one, and he's not able to match up to some of the other ones in the West. But it's okay. All I know is Melo's reviving his career. And breaking news, he has had his contract for the 2019-2020 season fully guaranteed as of today. We're going to be seeing more Melo for the rest of the year. And I, for one, cannot wait.
Yay. Well, anyway, appreciate everyone for tuning in today. We appreciate the like you're going to give us. Come tune in next time. See you later.
One more thing before we go. I will mention this. Last week was a big week for the Thicc Man Inc. crew because in the official Thicc Man Inc. Fantasy Football League, your host, Isaiah Ashley, eliminated his co-host, Tristan Kilgannon, from the playoffs, a decisive Week 13 win.